Good evening, friends. I am Dr. M.S. Anand, Associate Professor in Anna Institute of Management. This Anna Institute of Management Director General is Dr. V. Irai Anbu, IAS, Additional Chief Secretary and Director General of Training. I am very happy to just deliver this e-governance topic to all. Let us just see slide by slide what is e-governance and why is the e-governance and advantages of e-governance and other benefits of e-governance and a few disadvantages also will discuss, and let us see the slides. Yes, now the e-governance, its expansion of the e-governance is well known to everyone. It is called electronic governance. So let us just go one by one. What is e-governance? E-governance is the application of ICT. The expansion of the ICT is information and communication technology. What is ICT? This information technology blending with communication technology. That's a mixture we call as information communication technology, which helps to deliver government services, exchange of information, communication, transactions, integration of various standalone systems. The application of ICT is to transform efficiency, effectiveness, transparency and accountability of exchange of information and transaction between government to government, government to citizen, government to business and government to employee. Let us see first, before enter into the e-governance, what is the difference between the government and governance? The government is nothing but a body that comprises a person or a group of persons who run the administration of a country. This is a means in which power is exercised there, whereas the governance refers to the activities of a government, the process of governing people. And here, when we talk about the e-governance, the person, especially the Gartner Group, is incorporated in USA. They have done a lot of researches on the e-governance, and they have just consolidated and finalized a very good group model. That's a Gartner Group model for e-governance. This is now coming into the picture. There are 4 phases they are telling to just make effective, and the way in which we want to execute the e-governance, it is step-by-step approach. The phase 1 is information to be uploaded, information to be provided to the citizens. In the second phase, they are giving an idea that Gartner Group, interaction to be made in that. Then third, the transaction analysis to be done. Then finally, they are just suggesting that transformation process to be done. So these 4 phases will help to fulfill the e-governance processes, step-by-step approach. The need for e-governance, why the governance is very much needed. So this ICT services in government administration has a greatly enhanced existing efficiency, driven down communication cost, accountability will be there, increased transparency. That is the most important, so that the target of real governance will be achieved. Let us just come back now. What is e-government versus e-governance? The e-government means to optimize the government service delivery. The services are provided through ICT. So this is very simple. Whatever the information we have in all the government departments and government offices, they can just upload their information in their own website, so that the services of those things will be availed by the citizens. Then, the other side, e-governance. What is e-governance? This is e-government is now it come to know that actually it's very easy to understand. Then what is e-governance? It involves citizen participation as well as e-government. So here, the most important point is citizen participation should be incorporated in the e-government. Then only the e-governance will be achieved. There is a small architecture of e-governance. It's a bit technical. So it's easy way to just tell the other one side is government, the other side is citizen and business. So in between, what are the things? The government creates some policies and regulations and operations management and data centers and government departments, web-based integrated services and all in a single window operating system. So here the first three, that policies and regulations, operations management and data center coming under the knowledge management inputs. The other two, this is government department and web-based integrated single window system services coming under the operational partners. The benefits of e-governance. Number one, the cost effective. Once everything is computerized. So once we just make it everything in the computer systems, so it is easy to just retrieve the informations very quickly from anywhere, and the cost is also very less. For an example, suppose in the RTO offices, they are having forms. These forms maintenance in hard copy form, it's very difficult because to store all these huge hard copies and to just maintain this thing from the termite process and all everything, it's very it's very high. So to reduce that, if the soft copy is uploaded on that, the online form, or you can just download the forms, this kind of things we can just do that. By this way, we can reduce the cost. So the cost effective will be there. Speed, efficiency, transparency and convenient. Yes, we are just doing everything very speedy way, and it is an efficient manner we are doing it, and it will be more transparent. Nothing is no rules are hidden, everything on transparent, and it will be convenient for the citizens to just to read out everything and then they can do on their own. Elimination of paperwork. So we can eliminate the paperwork. So storing of all huge amount of bulky things and all, I think it may be avoided in future. Increases interest of citizen, that is the most important. So the citizens will just put more interest to just see once everything is computerized. Effective utilization of resources, that's another important. So we have to do it in a proper way to just utilize that. So we should not misuse of that. So that will make the benefits of that e-governance. And reduction in delays, red tapeism and corruption will be avoided. So these are the benefits of e-governance. And what are the objectives of e-governance? That is, we want to make the speedy, transparent, accountable administration. That is the main objective. Then we want to make it another. Next one is, it should be an online process. It's called 24/7 services. Number 3, citizen-centric approach must be there, and citizen participation, you want to make it involved in that. E-governance interactions. There are 4 interactions as we discussed earlier in the beginning slides itself. One is government to customer or government to citizen. The second one is government to business. So first one is the government to customer. What we can give an example, the government websites are developed, so by which we can deliver the services to the public. The government to business services are a very good example. The e-tendering systems nowadays available, that things actually government, many of the tenders has been floated on the websites, and from that actually the vendors just downloading and then uploading all these things. So this is e-tendering processor are going on, and recently that GEM has been introduced, that's called government e-marketplace. So by which we can just sell, government departments are selling the products actually through which that is a platform. This GEM is a platform. It helps to just government offices to procure things for their government offices. So these are the G2B, and G2G, government to government. For an example, government departments actually they are giving a salary to the employees. That is from government departments through the banks. We are doing it actually. So this kind of things, government to government, and the last one is government to employee. So this example, this GPF or EPF, Employee Provident Fund, or Government Provident Fund. So government employee details are floated on that, on the net, so employees are getting benefit out of it.